Hello, so today I'm going to show you how to do some extrusion in Onshape. So this will go with the Onshape basic extrusion assignment. So there will be a video here for you to watch, the one I'm recording right now, and then you will work on basic extrusion 1 and basic extrusion 2. This is kind of what they look like. This is extrusion 1 and extrusion 2. You just have to make the 3D model. You don't have to put it in a drawing sheet. Okay, but I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do some extruding. So I'm going to go ahead and use the same Onshape sketching one I did in the last video. I'm just going to create a new part studio, and then we'll go through and do some extrusions. So I'm going to create a new part studio. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and sketch out a part. All right, we'll do one similar to this one, only with different dimensions. Okay, so go ahead and start here. I always like to start at the origin. Okay, we'll go ahead and make this 4. I'll go ahead and make this 2, 0.75, 0.75, and then I'll bring this over here. If I kind of go up to this one and drag it down, you can see it lines it up. And then there's our shape. Okay, so this one's pretty easy. All I have to do is draw the profile, and then you just got to extrude. So I will check mark that. Right here's my extrusion. If it's gray on the inside, it means it can be extruded. If, just as an example, if like this isn't here, you can see it's white in here. You have to be careful because sometimes you can get this so close, okay, that from here, it looks like it's connected, but it's not because it's not gray on the inside. So you just have to sometimes zoom in on the corners to make sure it's connected. Once it's connected, it's gray on the inside. Okay. 0.75 on that one. All right. Don't have to dimension these, but there we are. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and extrude it. I don't like my dimensions on the inside, but I like to flip it to an isometric. You can just hit the extrude button here, or you can green check mark it. Right here's the extrude button. So you're just going to go ahead and hit extrude. All right. While we're kind of here, I'm going to talk to you about the extrude window because you're probably going to be using this the most. We're primarily going to be just doing solid extrusions. Okay. Now, sometimes if you accidentally get it clicked to surface, it will do this. Okay. And your object will not be solid. It's just extruding a surface. Okay. So if it happens to look like that, double check to make sure that you don't accidentally have surface selected. But we're going to do solid. Okay. There are really two. You're either extruding an object, making a new one, or you're removing it. So you're taking that shape out of an existing 3D model. Okay, this one I cannot remove anything because there's nothing. If I hit remove, it just won't do anything. Okay, I am creating a new one. Add means if I extrude this and I add something, put something on top of it, I can either make a new part or I can add that part to this one. And I'll show that to you here. Okay, this here is just the sketches and regions that you want to extrude. So you could have multiples in here. So if I had another rectangle up here, I could be extruding that with it. Okay, right here, blind allows you to type in a dimension, which is probably what to start off with most of you are going to be doing. Okay, You can do up to next, so that's up to the next part, which we don't have here, up to a face, up to a part, up to a vertex, or through all. Through all works great for the remove tool if you're putting holes in. Okay. Depth, and then you can choose different directions if you want. Okay. You can have a starting offset, so I could offset it off of that part like an inch if I wanted to. Okay. You could do symmetric, so I could click symmetric and it would be extrude the exact same on both sides. Okay. Which is probably what I'm going to do here. You don't have to, but I like to have mine always centered in the plane. So I'll do symmetric here. You don't have to. The other one will work just as fine. Okay. And then lastly, you can do a draft, which what that does is it takes this and it extrudes it, in this case, 3 degrees on the top and bottom on all surfaces, and makes this side bigger. Or if I went the other way, it would make it smaller. Okay. Don't use draft a whole lot, but I usually just use symmetric, maybe direction, but I usually do blind, through all, or up to face usually is mostly what I use. Okay. This arrow makes you able to change direction. So since it's symmetric, it doesn't matter, but if it's blind, if I click this, it'll flip it to the other side. Okay. But then you just green check mark it and you have your 3D object. You can right click on the mouse button, or you can take 2 fingers, press and hold, or is it just 2, on the trackpad to make it go around, I think is what you got to do. Okay. So, and I do recommend using a mouse with this, but if you can't, that's the way it goes. Okay. So now to show you adding and removing. So now that I have a part here, I can make a sketch on any of these surfaces. So I will put a sketch here. Look at the top. I'm just going to pop in some holes. Okay. I'm going to make that 1 point. We'll make it a little bigger. Make that 1.5. I'll make this 1.5. Okay. They're outside my object, so I want to pull them in. All right. And I do want to dimension them. I want to do what's called a location dimension. So I'm going to dimension from here to here. I'm going to make that 0.5. And I'm going to dimension from here to here. And I'll make that 0.5. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. All right. A couple sketch tools that I didn't show you but are useful is I could mirror this one over. So I could get rid of that one. I could click the mirror tool, select this as my mirror line, which is why I did a symmetric. And then I can click this as my mirror and it'll mirror it over. Now the nice thing is if I change any of these dimensions, this goes with it. So if I make this 0.6, you can see that circle goes the same size. If I make this 0.6, you can see they get closer. So that's the nice thing about that. All right, so I'm going to put a hole and then a cylinder. All right, so we'll hit extrude and I will choose that, and I want that to be a hole. So I will hit remove and it will create a hole. Okay. Usually with removes, it depends. You can make it go just partially through, okay, by changing the depth, or I like to do through all if it's a through hole, just so I know it goes all the way through the part. Okay. All right, so that's that one. Now you notice my sketch disappeared. So if I go to sketch 2, I can click on the eyeball and it makes it visible. And now I can extrude that up. Okay. Right now it's adding. Okay. So it's adding this to this part. All right. So I will end up with one part. Now, if I want that to be a different part, I could hit new. It changes color, and you can see down here I have a part 2. Part 2 is the cylinder. Part 1 is that. Okay. So it just depends which one you want to do. All right. I'm just going to add it. Okay. And it adds it to it. Most of the time, you're going to be adding. All right. The only time is if you have two separate parts that you're kind of drawing in the same drawing area. Then you would have new and you'd have multiple parts over here. Okay. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Okay. I think the last thing I want to show you is like this guy here. This one here to do the thing in the middle. All right. Put it here. This is where the symmetric comes in really, really handy. So I did a symmetric extrusion. So now I can put a sketch on this front right here. And basically, I'm just going to put in a triangle here. All right. There's two things you can do. We could just put the triangle in and then connect it. Or you can project these two lines. And then I can just do this. Okay. And I don't know if that needs to be, let's say 2 inches. All right. That gives us our part. If we go ahead and look at this, you can see it's in the middle. So then we will just extrude that symmetrically. And then if we want it to be 0.75, we can do it like that. Okay, add it, and it adds it to the part. So there we are. We've got our 3D part. Okay. Let's see. I showed you how to do that. This one has cuts and stuff in it. I showed you how to do that. This one has a cut on there as well. Actually, you could just draw that shape and then extrude it. Okay. Yep. Put the circles on the back. Yeah, nothing too big with that. One thing I did want to mention is, I'll put a new sketch here, is if you have a square, or it doesn't have to be a square, and I draw a circle in it, okay, and I go to extrude that, if I choose right here, it'll extrude the square without the circle. So you can do holes that way too. So if I knew that this was going to have a hole in it, I could have drew the holes all in the same sketch and extruded it up if I wanted to. Okay. Now, reversely, I could choose just the circle and it would extrude just the circle. If I chose them both, then it would make it a solid object. So it just depends on what you're looking for. Okay. So that, I think, is it for extrusions. Okay. So now you can go ahead and try working on basic extrusion 1, basic extrusion 2, drawing the shapes. Okay. Drawing these shapes to the dimensions that are given, and then extruding the holes through and stuff like that. Okay. So as always, if you have any questions, feel free to contact your instructor, let them know, and they will help you out with it. So remember to smash that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.